This is the Matt Report, the voice of WordPress entrepreneurship. If you're running a WordPress freelance business selling themes, plugins, or client services, this is the place for you. Learn more at mattreport.com and subscribe at mattreport.com/subscribe. And now, on to the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Matt Report. Today's guest, Frankie Jarrett, product development lead of WP-Stream, which is a great plugin that we're going to talk about in a second, of the X team, part of the X team, which is a rather large WordPress and other Drupal and application development team spread across all around the world. So we're going to get some of that insight. But Frankie is steering the ship for WP-Stream. This plugin is pretty great, right? There's no referrals, there's no affiliate links here. They're not sponsoring me. But I use it on a lot of our client projects. Pretty simply, it tracks everything that happens in WordPress, and it shows you that in a great dashboard view in the admin dashboard, so you can see who's publishing posts, what posts they're editing, what pages, what plugins they've enabled, what have they done in WordPress. It's a great little audit trail, which is awesome for supporting clients, or if you're a larger media site and you've got a lot of publishers and editors jumping into the mix and moving content around. It's a great way to track that, to have some accountability. But we're going to talk about launching a product, developing a product, designing a product, everything that wraps around that, and the decisions that teams and team leaders have to make to get a version shipped, right? One of the crazy things is when they shipped, they were doing daily updates, which was it's a tremendous feat onto itself. So we're going to listen to some of the advice and how he manages that, how he manages the team, and all that fun stuff. There is a pro version available at the end. For those of you who are pro members, you can get access to that in the forums. That's mattreport.com/join. Learn all about the pro membership there. It's like support for your WordPress business, right? Not only do you get exclusive access to content, but you're going to get access to a forum and a community of WordPress entrepreneurs just like you. So you have a question, you ask it in the forum, we answer it. Every couple of weeks, we do a mastermind call. Somebody takes the hot seat. What are your problems? What are your challenges? And we all kind of dive in and try to help you out. It's a great way to keep the show ad-free, except for me. And you can find more about that at mattreport.com/join. Without further ado, let's talk to Frankie. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Matt. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So folks who don't know, I mean, I've been, before we get into the actual discussion, I've been pimping this WP-Stream product for some time now, or some time since it's been out, because I really love it. But we're going to get to that awesome little plugin that you guys have created. Tell folks who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. I'm Frankie Jarrett. I am the head of WordPress product at X Team, as Matt said. And I've been with X Team I'm in my third year. Love working with these guys. We're a globally distributed team. There's lots of us working all around the world, so that's a lot of fun. I got started with WordPress, I think about 6-7 years ago, around the 2.8 cycle. And when 3.0 came out is really when I made it my platform of choice. I decided, okay, I am only going to work in WordPress because it's a real CMS now. So that's been great. I've built a lot of just fun things that I wanted to build. And as you said, Matt, I started churchthemes.net in 2011, and as my first theme shop. And then shortly after that, I got on board with X Team, and now I build full-time the Stream product, which is our first professional WordPress plugin, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love the title Head of WordPress Product, because sort of that's what I feel like at my own day job. But what makes up your day, and what makes up the definition of the WordPress product guy?
So we X Team is a VIP featured partner, and we're an agency, and we have a WordPress team within X Team. We also have Drupal teams, game teams, so there's a lot of teams within X Team. And our WordPress team had always focused on these enterprise clients, and we were building these really large-scale, cool plugins and applications within WordPress for really large organizations. So in some respects, we were already building products, but it was, this is client services. We'd build these things to even be reusable among our enterprise clients' other systems and things, frameworks, if you will. So the head of WordPress product thing kind of came along when Dave, our founder, I guess I was kind of just hinting that, man, we should really build a product. And one day, it was on the day that marked my 2 years at X Team. He said, "Hey, I want you to lead this charge, and start doing some product development officially." And so that's kind of how it came to be. And it's been really a dream job ever since. I mean, that's exactly what I love to do, is just build cool stuff, right? But building it for many people instead of just one person just has a little bit extra reward, I think.
Nice. For the Stream product specifically, were you are you coding day to day, designing day to day, or are you just leading the charge on, like, here's what we should research and develop, here's the different technologies we should use? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it started off with like just me initially, and then brought in some other developers within X Team to help contribute. Shadi Sharaf from Cairo, one of our developers, kind of helped get really things started architecturally with me. And then we started bringing on other people. We just about 3 or 4 months ago brought on Jave Thompson, and then Luke Carbus, and these other guys, and we're all kind of equals now on this team. We like to keep things flat. So even though I have this, head of WordPress product or whatever, it doesn't really work that way. We're all equals in the way that we bring things to the table. We contribute every day. I write code. I also review code. They review my code. They write code. We all kind of share responsibilities. We do kind of, I guess, quote unquote, own certain areas within the plugin project from time to time, maybe initiatives. But generally speaking, we like to keep things, we all have an even playing field as far as the voice of the project's concerned.
A lot of folks out there, that might be running a smaller agency, 2-3 person shop or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more agile in the sense where they could be working on a client services 70% of the day, and then 30% of the day they could probably devote some time to a product. What's the difference between the size of X Team versus somebody who's even smaller and more agile? When you approach your higher ups to build something like this, did they sit back and have to take into account many more variables because of the overhead is a lot different when they're steering a bigger ship like this, or was it pretty easy to kind of conjure up?
Yeah, I think it all goes back to our X Team founder, Dave Rosen, who he owns X Team, and he is such a visionary and such a people empowerer. That's the only way I can describe him. He's just very encouraging and wants to see people work on the things they love to work on. And when I guess really it started from identifying a need, because we're working, we're up to the neck in enterprise, development and seeing all kinds of problems. And as you know, I mean, the best product ideas come out of like real problems and needs. And so we kind of started identifying this need, which was there's no real sophisticated audit tracking system or mechanism within WordPress. And because of that major need and major problem, it was much easier, I think, to kind of pull the trigger on let's go down this road and let's make a big investment as a company in trying to make that work. But you're right, it still is a risk. It has something that has to be weighed. And I think for smaller agencies, certainly it's more difficult. You're going to spend a lot more twilight hours, working on the things after work, until late at night and working on very little sleep. But for us, it was unique in that we have a lot of enterprise business, and now we can maybe shift focus a little bit and try something new. And so that's how we went about it.
Awesome. For version 1, what kind of planning took place? What kind of development time took place before you launched? I already see you laughing, so I already know probably what the answer is going to be. But what was that like? Like before, when did you start coding this, and when did version 1 launch? 6 months, 3 months, 6 days? What was it?
I think it was it was crazy, man. We started coding at the end of November. I think it was around Thanksgiving, like a week before Thanksgiving. And we launched like the first week of December. So we're talking like 3 weeks of development. It was very little time, and it was definitely an alpha release, but we knew we needed to get something out there. And we knew from the get-go that we wanted to do things in phases, and we wanted to really embrace this, the Semver model, and we wanted to try to do daily releases. But as far as 1.0, we stayed under 1.0 for a month and a half, I think, and then 1.0 came out. And honestly, in retrospect, we could have actually waited longer before we came out with 1.0. I think that there's a few plugins out there in the WordPress world right now that are really doing it correctly as far as versioning, numbering their plugins, and doing things in phases. But something that oftentimes gets overlooked is really thorough attention to backwards compatibility. And when you come out with that 1.0 release, what you're saying is from this point on, we are going to be backwards compatible. And there were a few things that we just hadn't had developed yet, like some connectors that Stream was going to track, and some other things that we probably thought, man, these will probably get refined in the future. But we were so anxious to get to 1.0 because we wanted it to be production ready, and we wanted to symbolize that. But I think we probably, in retrospect, we could have waited a little longer. We did daily releases for like the first 3 months. Every day that we had a release that was public. And now it's spread out more like every 2 weeks we do, or 2 to 3 weeks we do a release.
How did you, and I guess not to give away the pro segment of the show, which by the way, we're going to be talking about how to build teams around your software, or how to use people resources to kind of scale this kind of thing in the pro version. How did you get a daily release cycle down? I mean, what little things were you doing just to get that churning out every day? Because a lot of folks listening to this are like, man, every single day? Like, I got clients to still service. How did you go about it?
Not being afraid of things being broken.
Okay.
It's the whole lean startup, methodology. This is not new information. I mean, I've read books on it, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers have. But the lean startup methodology is that your goal in life is to ship code, and sometimes that code will be broken. Your goal in life is to not polish and polish and polish and internal bug test without getting feedback. You're never going to get feedback if you don't release it. And so that was kind of our mindset from the get-go. We're like, hey, this is a new idea. There's only, for the first few months, there's only a few hundred people using it. So let's just keep releasing an update every day. We're sorry, guys, in your dashboard, you're going to be annoyed because you're going to see an update every day about Stream. But hopefully that would actually encourage you that this plugin project is active. This plugin project, we care about it, and we're responding to feedback on a daily basis. But to be honest, there's a lot of staying up late, making sure that we can get a release. We need to get a release out today. Let's get this feature done because we really wanted to push code. And it was good. It set a precedent, I think, for the rest of the project and where we are today, and those early days having that mindset.
In the life of the lean launch or lean shipping, lean startup, how did you deal with some of the things that broke in these early versions? Did you just kind of hunker down and say, oh, God, I know we're going to get yelled at this one, but let's get back to it and ship it out again? What was that like?
That's exactly right. It's you have to put the user first and really thank people for their feedback, especially if they're telling you something's broken. The best way that I can say about how to deal with feedback when you've broken something and someone's telling you about it is really just to be very, very thankful to that person. Just thinking back on times when maybe I've submitted a bug report on something that I knew was broken, the times where I felt I was actually like willing to do it again was when the software developer was really kind to me and thanked me for my time. Even if he knew it was already broken, he just wanted to reassure me, that it was good that I said something. And so we try to have that same mentality, because ultimately a user is going to thank you if you were civil with them and kind to them and thank them genuinely than they are about the software being broke, if that makes sense. And so that's exactly what we experienced, is that and it made us better. The more feedback we had, we would look out for those things in the future. And I'd like to think that, as time went on, there was less and less bugs, less and less daily breakage, and then when we got to 1.0, it was pretty stable, and now I believe it's very stable, and that's how we got there.
Do you remember one of the major bugs that went out that was like, oh boy, this is going to break everybody's butt. Tomorrow we're going to have it fixed?
That's a really good question. I know that something happened recently, actually, that was kind of a facepalm fail. It didn't affect it, but it didn't affect everyone. It wasn't like everyone's stream is blown up. We have a plugin repository page. You'll see it says, PHP version 5.3 plus is required for Stream to run. So that's different from the WordPress version requirements, which is PHP 5.2, 0.10 or something, I believe. So we require 5.3 because we're using namespacing, we're using anonymous functions, we're using things in PHP 5.3 that Stream needs for its callbacks. And so we had an extra method in our main class that would check to make sure that they had the right PHP version. And if they didn't, they got a nice little fail notice that said, we're sorry, it doesn't run. Stream plugin, although it appears to be activated, it's not running because you don't have PHP 5.3. The problem is that we rewrote that function, and we rewrote it using an anonymous function. Therefore, it just fatal errored on everyone that had 5.2. So there's a few users who reported it, and we said, we're sorry. It doesn't support 5.2 anyway, but you should have received a soft fail instead of a fatal error on your admin page, so we had to get that fixed.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys launched in .org repository. I would think for a company the size of X-Team, there might have been some consideration to not launch it in .org and maybe just try to launch it on your own platform or market on your own platform. What were the reasons why you went with .org, and will that ever change?
Yeah, so .org, first of all, X-Team is made up of WordPress enthusiasts and freaks, like you and me. I mean, we happen to work for X-Team, but we absolutely love WordPress and the open source philosophy that surrounds it. Many of us are core contributors to the project, and we absolutely love it. That being said, we really think that the plugin repo is the lifeblood of plugin development. It's where you're going to get the quickest user adoption, the quickest feedback. And for any startup, I mean, what more do you want than user feedback and quick adoption and people trying out your product? And that's what the plugin repo does. There was consideration for doing, these fully paid models. I mean, you can't even say that. You can't even talk about that business model without mentioning Gravity Forms. I mean, that's their whole thing, and they've been wildly successful at it. And so, props to them. I think it's not for everybody. We going back to what you said, and we'll talk about it more in the pro session. You're going to build a quicker community and team around your product if you put it out there open source. And so that's what we firmly believed going in. And so far I think it's really paid off for us because we've gotten so many people using it, and guys like you, like you said, raving about it, and people giving us really good feedback, good and bad, and it's been really helpful.
Nice, awesome. I've been closely observing how different developers and different shops are leveraging or not leveraging .org. And Pippin Williamson of Pippin's Plugins is very interesting to me because obviously Easy Digital Downloads is in .org, but his latest affiliate, WP, I believe is the correct name, is not, but he has his open source version in GitHub, right? So you can also download it and access it. However, you will not get support without a proper license. How has support been for you folks on .org? Because it's a robust, as simple as it is to use and easy as it is to use. It's also a very robust product, which might not be for the beginner user or even the average user, but sort of the step up, the manager, the editor of a newspaper might be using it to track all of his writers or something like that.
Yeah.
So what kind of feedback do you get on such a product in .org, and what's the support been like?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's limitations to the support forums in general. I think we all know that it needs help. But it's not too bad. I mean, in its basic form, it does the basics that you need, which is you can submit feedback, you can set a status, is it resolved, is it not? So in some ways it kind of forces you to keep things simple, which can be good. The way that we've done it is that we kind of have a team of people that are just kind of casually, I mean, to be honest, it's not even an assignment. I didn't go to some of my team members and say, hey, can we be sure to watch the forums? We just kind of all do it. And if one of us sees that there's a support forum question that hasn't been answered, somebody jumps on. We've even had folks in the community jump in and answer questions. But if we do find something that's like maybe bug related, we'll immediately go to GitHub and create an issue and let the user know, hey, we've created an issue, here's the link, and make the cross-reference and say, if you want to stay up to date on the progress of the bug, then you need to go to GitHub. We're not going to be, we'll come back to this thread when it's fixed and there's a version that it's released that fixes it, but we're not going to continue the conversation in here when we can code, we can comment inline in the code in GitHub. So that's kind of how we've handled it.
That's a good tip for anybody who's listening, who's doing product development and supporting on .org. As basic as that is, it's still a good tip to say, hey, here's the bug, link to the bug in GitHub. You want to follow along, visit here and subscribe here and watch all of it there.
And users don't get mad about it at all. We haven't had a single user say, I don't want to go over there, or I'm afraid of GitHub. I mean, usually they appreciate the fact that you were really timely in your response and that you took immediate action by saying, this is a real issue, thank you so much for pointing it out, we are going to get to the bottom of it. And people, users are much more excited to see progress than they are, seeing everything in one thread. So don't be afraid to take them somewhere else if you need to take the conversation to a deeper level.
Have you found a different user base for this plugin after you launched? Your day-to-day, you're always dealing with a lot of sort of the corporate and VIP level customer, so you have that particular person in mind. But have you found something new after launching that? Wow, we didn't even think we could service this client set.
Oh my gosh, so many. Man, so many. We thought, oh, this would be a great plugin for like enterprise publishers, because we did a lot of work for like news publications and stuff. We thought, oh man, this would be perfect. Like you said, you can see what all the writers are writing, and you can make sure that things are being productive every day. And if somebody accidentally deletes something, you would know when it happened, and so on and so forth. And when we thought, oh, this could be good for agencies who have clients and they want to make sure that they are staying on top of what their clients are doing and being proactive and those kinds of things. But then all these other markets started opening up and showing interest in Stream, and we've had education institutions. We have some colleges running Stream on their network, keeping track of what all the teachers are posting, and all that stuff. There has been interest in all kinds of public sector stuff. So some of these public sector government institution stuff, they need to have audit trails of things. And in some ways, it makes us really excited because we think, I wonder if someone would choose WordPress over another platform simply because they can have an audit trail. Because for some of these companies, it's like not optional. They need to have a trail of history, and so that makes us really excited.
Is this going to open up different sales channels for X Team? I mean, you'll have the sort of product. I think the highest level was $200, right, for the premium product.
Yeah.
But you could go into the government sector or the private sector and say there's a whole auditing system. You could be setting up clusters of servers and real-time tracking for $200,000, right? Is this going to open up different sales channels for that, or are you guys just focused now on selling the plugin?
Yeah, absolutely, it will. I mean, right now we're focused on selling our extensions because they basically take your Stream data and just help it do cool stuff. Like I can make these really cool responsive reports, or I can have real-time notifications to my phone when certain things happen on my website. We think that's really valuable. But you're absolutely right. It's opening up new things. And actually, I'll make for the first time ever a kind of announcement here on your podcast that we're working on a cloud service. It's actually going to have all this stuff, all your Stream data in the cloud with an API that you can do whatever you want with.
Nice.
And so there's some cool stuff that we're working on right now that I think is really going to change audit tracking in WordPress, and we are just fighting every day to try to stay on the forefront of it and try to do stuff that we've never done before to challenge ourselves and try to make a product that is that's going to last a long time and be something cool that we would like to use.
That's awesome. That's great. Let's just now transition over to X Team as a company and all these different teams that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You have Drupal team, WordPress team, a gaming team. when you get into the sort of, maybe I'll just call it, for lack of a better term, monthly meetings or monthly reviews, are the Drupal guys saying, well, we can build something better than that for Drupal? What is that dynamic like, dealing with the different mixed technologies that you guys have?
Sure, that's a great question. So at the end of the day, I think X Team is first of all, I love working at this company because there's so much culture. It's not even funny. There's so much camaraderie and culture of being superheroes. That's our thing. Being a superhero to your fellow coworker, being a superhero to clients, being a superhero, in your personal life with your family, and just trying to go above and beyond. And so when we have that mindset, it's really hard to have rivalries, to be totally honest. There was a project that I was talking to one of our account managers about the other day, and it was a really cool project, and it was going to be really fun to build, and we were kind of doing some high-level data architecture for WordPress, how this could work. And the more we got into it, it was like, man, Drupal might be a better solution for this client, for what they're doing specifically, and what they're asking for. What they're saying is the most important thing is kind of a rare thing, and Drupal actually does that a little bit better. And we would really have to bend WordPress quite a bit to make this work. And it wasn't that WordPress wouldn't work. It was that we thought Drupal might work better. And so we just passed that on to the Drupal team. And there's been times, when the Drupal team says, WordPress is, these people want to build a publishing site, these people want to build a business content management system, for this media company or whatever, and we would be able to, this is going to be better on WordPress. And so we're not afraid to offer the best solution to the client, and it's happened several times, and that's refreshing to not have a rival. We have one guy on our team that does both. He's a WordPress developer, he's a Drupal developer, Jonathan Bardo, and I love talking to Jonathan because I'll be working on something in WordPress. I don't have any Drupal experience, I don't have any sophisticated Drupal experience, whereas he does, and I'll ask him, okay, this is what I'm doing in WordPress. How would Drupal do this? Every now and then, just to see what he'd say, and he goes on, on and on and on. But it's funny because if he's working on a Drupal project, sometimes he'll stop, mid throughout the day and come jump on our WordPress chat channel and say, hey, I just needed a WordPress break, because I think secretly he likes WordPress the most.
Is it okay to say what that one thing was that client needed, or would that reveal who the client was for the Drupal side of it?
Yeah, I would probably just remain quiet on that as some proprietary things, but needless to say, WordPress could have done it. Okay. WordPress could have done it, but it has to do with internationalization and things like that on the front end side. And I think, man, Drupal's a great product. First of all, I mean they've done a really good job. Yeah, there's some backwards compatibility things. Yeah, we all know those things. But let's be honest too and talk about the good stuff, because that's stuff that we can learn from as a WordPress community. And I think I've been hearing more and more of that actually within our circles of appreciating the things that other people are doing. I think is important.
Yeah, I agree. I came from the Drupal world before getting into WordPress, and at the time it was version, when I worked for another company, and it was version 5 that we used a lot of, and then I was just getting out of it when we were getting into version 6. But just as for building solutions, the whole back then it was CCK and views, and being able to build the custom fields with the different view types, and that was awesome. For back then, it was super powerful for the things that you could do. But I haven't followed up on it as much, although I still have a couple RSS feeds that I check into just to see where the guys are going.
Can't get away from it.
Let's bring it back down to you as a WordPress entrepreneur.
Sure.
Founder of churchthemes.net.
Yeah.
How did that start? How is that going? Take us down that path.
Yeah, so I started churchthemes.net. I'm a worship pastor at my church. I volunteer to do that. I've been the director of music and worship for about 4 years, and I absolutely love it. That's one of my big passions is music and being involved with my church outside of work. And so needless to say, there's some unique needs that churches have. I mean, just like any organization, the better you understand a market or a group of organizations, the better you know how to build things for them. And so I was kind of in the middle of that, and I kind of saw that I was building a new website for my church, and I thought, man, there's there's certain things that every church needs, and it's kind of hard to build it all yourself unless you have a lot of skill and understanding. And so I thought, man, I could really build something that could help people. And at the time, I was working at a local agency, and I was building WordPress themes, but I wanted to be challenged more and get into the product stuff. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur, because at heart, I've always considered myself kind of a student of entrepreneurship. And so I started churchthemes.net, and it's been really successful. We're almost at our 3rd birthday here in July, and it's been a wild ride. We've had a lot of successes. A lot of churches have been helped. In a lot of ways, it's taught me a lot about how to focus on the needs of customers. I kind of went into it blind, never having had a product before, and over the course of 3 years, it's really taught me a lot. And it was really fun to do. I'm really actually shocked at how well it's done with how little amount of time I've had to spend on it. It's done really, really, really well, and I think it just has to do with that initial understanding the market. Who am I building this for? Why do they need these features? Am I giving them too many features? Am I not giving them enough? And trying to really say, what do they need? What do they need, and how do I build something that people need? And it's really going to genuinely help people. And so that's been good. And I think when I started the company, I kind of put on there that 10% of all the sales were going to go to help church planning around the world. And doing things like that to kind of communicate my heart. It was more than just doing the work. It was actually I have a heart behind this too, and I have other reasons why I want to sell these things. It's not just for me to make a bunch of money. And I think making those kind of decisions with the product helped customers kind of see the motivations behind it, that it was pure or genuine or what have you, because it's hard to do that these days online. Everyone's saying that they're the best or the number one, this or that, but how do you communicate your heart? How do you communicate your passion behind something? You have to put your money where your mouth is, I think, a lot of times, and you have to really put it all out there and wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's what I tried to do the best I could.
That's an awesome point and point of view. There's a lot of chatter in the theme space for anybody who's following it from other theme shop owners or theme sort of freelancers that the theme industry is sort of becoming commoditized, and it's just not a as profitable venture anymore. And like you said, it's not just to go out and make a bunch of money, but you still have to be profitable to continue reinvesting and developing. There's nothing wrong with the word profit.
That's right.
What's your thoughts on the theme industry now versus when you started? And if you didn't focus on church themes, if you just did themes, blog, business, e-com, stuff like that, do you think you would have been as successful?
Definitely focusing on the niche market was, I think that point has been proven for many, many years now, that if you're going to focus on making themes, you should probably fully understand and invest in a niche that you know that and understand their needs, and that you could almost be a customer yourself. You have to be so deep into it, because that's how you're creating value for people. What other way are you going to separate yourself from the competition? Because like you said, it's been so commoditized. It's just all about price at this point. So how do you prevent that from happening? Well, you have to understand your customer. You have to understand them in such a way that no one else would understand them as good as you. And so I don't think it would have worked if I did anything more generic. I think that you're absolutely right. It's when I started Church Themes, it was back when people were still throwing all their features inside their themes. There wasn't a concept of plugins and themes, complementing each other really well. And to some degree, I think WordPress core is still behind. I think the community has been asking for things like plugin dependencies and things for quite a few years now, and we're just not quite there yet. And so, to some degree, you can't hardly blame themes for packing in all these features. Even WordPress VIP, I believe, you have to pack all your features into the themes. It's like we still have those old mindsets, and that's definitely where I was when I was building church themes. Is that wasn't even being talked about. It was just commonplace that you put all your features in your theme. How else are you going to do it? And so, nowadays it looks like we're trying to make a shift, but we still have all this mud that we need to clean up. That we're still allowing that stuff to happen easily, and we don't have really good methods within core even to make it smoother and make it less of a problem.
One of the things you've said a lot about the Stream product and about sort of the stuff that you do at X Team is backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we're seeing in themes, just this discussion we're having right now, is plugin territory, not plugin territory. Put this in the theme, don't put it in the theme. I was recently listening to an interview with Yoast, and he was saying that the biggest anchor that WordPress is dragging along is PHP, whatever, 5.2 or whatever he was saying. And then you look at other platforms like Ghost, leveraging Node and other, more innovative technologies, I guess, for lack of a better term here. Where's the middle ground? do we keep coding and developing for that backwards compatibility of older technology? Do we say, here's the stop, and then moving forward, we're going to leverage something else?
Yeah, it's such a catch-22, isn't it? Because when do you draw the line in the sand? And some would say, well, you draw the line in the sand when the community in general has accepted this new technology as the norm. And that's when you draw the line. But it's a catch-22 because you're trying to promote and say, and people like Yoast and others are the community, and they're voicing their opinion, saying, hey, it's time to draw the line. But other people might not be caught up to that yet. And so it's like the only thing you can do is make decisions like we did and say, listen, there are things about PHP 5.3 that are so great and that we need, and Stream will just not function properly without certain functionalities in PHP to build our callbacks, to listen for these events. We're going to require it. And if you don't use, you can use WordPress all the way back to 3.7, not a problem. But if you're running Stream, you need to have PHP 5.3 because that's just the way we chose to do it. There's other people who make their plugins compatible with 5.2. That's awesome. That's great. But for us, we just decided we're gonna go forward with a higher version. I mean, namespacing in PHP is like one of the greatest thit's that WordPress should be leveraging, and it's very rare to see PHP namespacing in any WordPress plugin ever, because it's just not been common practice within the WordPress community because we're so focused on 5.2. So there does need to be some plugins like Stream and others, I hope, that say, listen, we're going to start taking advantage of some of these new features, and we are going to make it more common, because the wider WordPress community development, some of these developers, they're never even exposed to new features within PHP or new programming practices unless it's within the WordPress community, because they're so, they almost call themselves WordPress developers, not PHP developers. So it's like until WordPress starts doing it, some people don't even know about it. And so there needs to be more namespacing, I believe, in WordPress.
That's awesome. One final question of the more formal interview. What are you really excited about coming down the pipe with Stream and with the new versions of WordPress? Are you going to see more innovation with your product because WordPress is going to the 4.0 with some more stuff inside of it? What are you excited about in the coming months?
Let's see. I'm really, as far as WordPress is concerned, WordPress core, I'm really excited about seeing the JSON REST API being on the roadmap for 4.1. I think what Ryan McHugh's been doing there is really cool, and we're using it internally for a few things, and so just seeing what he's been doing is really neat, and we think that Stream could actually work with the JSON REST API in some really cool ways going forward. So that's kind of exciting, but that we're talking probably 6 months to a year. Who knows when 4.1 is going to come out? Maybe fall. But then we have to actually build things and integrate. So, but that's more long term. Short term, I'm pretty excited about going down this road of the cloud service. We're right in the middle of a build right now that is going to, it's really going to open up some new avenues. When you're audit tracking stuff on your website, when you're wanting to know who deleted something, when changes happened, it's really handy in case your website gets hacked, right? If someone hacks your website, starts deleting your posts, it'd be really great to have that in an audit trail. Well, if all your Stream records are local on your database, if that intruder has access, he can just delete his trail. And so that's why I'm really excited about this cloud service, because it's going to actually take these records over SSL on a secure Amazon EC2 cluster, and it's going to keep those in a vault. So anything that ever happened on your website is going to be securely stored, and there's no way any intruder could remove them. And so I'm really excited about those security aspects. I talked to a web host the other day who they do a lot of hosting for banks and government institutions, and they were pretty pumped about this idea, because I mean it's making things more secure, making security more hardened, because there's the whole audit trail aspect of Stream too. Not just wanting to know what your clients are doing, but actually auditing like security breaches. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I recently did one of the lessons I did for the pro members was how to leverage Stream for your support stuff. And the typical
Nice.
the typical agency or the typical phone call that you get on the Friday afternoon is the end user panicking like, hey, putting up this sale for the weekend, and I hit published and it's not working. I don't see it on my homepage. Why isn't it there? I did it the way you told me. I watched your video 15 times. Then you hop into Stream and you see that they created a page and not a post. It's not the right category. And it's just awesome to see what it is that they're doing from a support level.
Yeah, like what if you were an agency that had clients, and you were using something like Zendesk or some kind of tender, some kind of support mechanism, and you had the Stream cloud service, and they could put in their API key, and suddenly when they start a support conversation, not only do you see what you're talking about, the API will start pulling in the things they've been doing, the 5 things they did before they started the support question, and then as you're having conversations, in the conversation you actually see activity until the conversation is closed. And they could see what you did for them, you could see what they did, and so there's all those kind of avenues that I'm really excited about that can really take the customer service to a whole new level if Stream has these kind of integrations available.
Yeah, that is awesome. It's good stuff. It was great stuff for this first half of the interview. Really appreciate it. We're going to hop into the second segment. It's called "What's in Your Toolbox?" What piece of software or app do you use on a daily basis to get the job done? I'll prime you a little bit because I'm interested to know how you track all your upcoming features. You have this great idea. This would be great, just like you said, about the auditing stuff. Where do you throw that, and how do you show the team and talk about that stuff?
So there's a few things that we would do internally that would be like within the Stream team, and like full-time Stream team would be like myself and Jave Thompson and Lou Carbis. And what we have an O2 blog, which is like the evolution of P2, and so we do that for like really high level, like what's the future, where are we going 6 to 8 months from now, major feature discussions and things like that within our team. But when it comes down to actual features, we put everything in GitHub. I mean, everybody who's watching the show right now can go to the Stream GitHub channel, click on issues, and see a whole huge backlog. I think since December we have like 600 issues closed. I mean, it's like insane. And we categorize them, and we get really detailed in those issues because we want to keep the scope really narrow. It's not good to create an issue that has like, this is going to take like 5 pull requests. A pull request should be concise, therefore an issue should be concise. And so we try to keep all those things really concise using feature branches and all those things. And GitHub has just been a great source of collaboration for us. When you're doing project planning, when you're doing feature planning, I mean, what better place to do it than within GitHub? So I am on GitHub, I mean, 80% of my day? I mean, it's like, it's intense. I'm in GitHub all the time.
That's awesome. We're going to jump into the lightning round, ask you a series of quick questions. You have a series of quick answers.
Okay.
What's the one plugin you could not live without besides your own?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm gonna say, oh man, that is super tough. Right now, I'm gonna say the JSON REST API plugin.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite WordPress or business book?
My favorite business book of all time is Good to Great. It's a fantastic book.
Yeah, that is a good one. What's a quote that you live or run your business by?
Well, probably from Jesus. You should love others. You should love God and love others. That's kind of my personal philosophy, and so it bleeds into everything, including business.
Nice. What's the best business or career advice you ever received?
Best career advice I ever received was probably to go with your gut and also get things validated by your peers. Get things validated by people that you really admire and trust, and take those things to heart, and don't try to be a lone wolf all the time.
Yeah, that is awesome advice. What's the longest a client project has ever taken you? I love it when people laugh because I already know.
Oh, man. It's probably a year and a half.
Nice. If you had to switch to another CMS, what would it be?
I'd probably build one myself.
That's 99% of the answer I get.
Really?
Yeah. Who should I interview next?
Who should you interview next? Oh, man. I think that you should interview. Goodness gracious, your lightning questions are hard, Matt. You should interview. Have you interviewed Brad Williams on the show?
Who was it?
Brad Williams from.
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yep.
Well, then you should interview him again. No, but I just love. I follow Brad's tweets and stuff, and I just always like his interviews. Yeah, you should interview. Have you interviewed anyone from WordPress before?
No.
That would be really cool. I think WordPress is a really cool plugin, and I'd love to hear more about what those guys are doing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. What's the one question that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Oh gosh, one question you didn't ask me. Let's see. You didn't ask me. You didn't ask me if I was married, and I am. I'm married, a happily married man. I have a beautiful wife. I live here in Kansas City, Missouri, and we've been married. We just had our 3-year wedding anniversary. So.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's been awesome stuff. I think that we kind of flew by, or felt like we flew by, but I think we got a lot of great advice about building the product, finding the market fit, working with a team. We're going to learn more about working with a team in the pro segment. But Frankie, thanks a lot. And where can folks find you on the web to say thanks?
They can follow me at @fjarrett on Twitter, and that's probably the best place to reach out to me. FrankieJarrett.com is my blog, and I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Everybody else, mattreport.com/subscribe, mattreport.com/join. You'll be able to hear the pro segments, which is coming up next in the pro forums on the site. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.